silence. It's the kind of silence that follows violence. A silence thick with questions, heavy with the weight of what just happened. Just moments before, it was an ordinary Friday in a parking lot. Cars idling, families gathering, the scent of fast food drifting on the night air. But that fragile normality was about to be shattered, all for the sake of a camera's gaze. The pranksters had a simple plan: provoke, shock, and capture raw reactions for viral fame. Every detail was rehearsed, every angle considered. In their world, a strong reaction was the highest praise. The more extreme the response, the greater the reward, measured in likes, shares, and fleeting internet glory. But the real world isn't ruled by likes and shares. Out here, consequences are real, and fear can't be edited out. The people in that lot weren't actors. They were living their own lives, carrying their own hopes and fears, never suspecting they'd become part of someone else's spectacle. The pranksters failed to see this, treating everyone as part of their show, props in a scene they alone controlled, or so they thought. The camera rolled, capturing staged chaos, until reality crashed in, unscripted and irreversible. It recorded the instant when fake panic turned to real terror, and a prank became a tragedy, forever preserved in digital memory. The unblinking eye, meant to witness a joke, instead documented a death. It saw everything, missed nothing, and offered no comfort. The laughter faded, but the evidence remained, etched into memory and into the cold, impartial gaze of the camera. The internet is a restless beast, always hungry for something new, something that will make us stop, stare, and share. In this digital world, attention is the ultimate currency, and every like, comment, and share is a form of validation. Public prank videos became a digital arms race, each one more outrageous, more shocking, more likely to go viral. Algorithms feed on engagement, rewarding the most sensational content and pushing creators to constantly escalate their stunts. The line between harmless fun and genuine public disturbance blurred as creators chased the next viral moment. The laughter and applause online drowned out the distress and fear of real people, bystanders who never agreed to be part of the spectacle. For Timothy Wilkes and his friend, the pressure to stand out was overwhelming. They saw viral stunts as a shortcut to fame, fortune, and a sense of belonging in the digital world. The psychology of viral content is intoxicating. Dopamine hits from notifications, the thrill of going viral, the fear of being forgotten. Dangerous ideas began to look like brilliant opportunities as the chase for clicks clouded their judgment. For Timothy and his partner, the potential reward seemed to outweigh any risk. Real-world consequences faded into the background. They weren't thinking about the anxiety they might cause or the unpredictable ways people might react. Their focus narrowed to their channel, their audience, and the next big hit, blinded by the promise of digital fame. But the pursuit of clicks has consequences, and the pressure to go viral would lead them to a decision that made them infamous. Timothy Wilkes, just 20, was fluent in the language of the internet. He was the kind of person who could recite viral video trends from memory, always chasing the next big thing. He and his friend, who shared his hunger for recognition, weren't professionals, just two young men with a YouTube channel and a dream. They bonded over late-night editing sessions and the thrill of seeing their subscriber count tick upward, even if only by a handful. Their early videos were unremarkable, awkward pranks, harmless dares, but they studied what worked. Confrontation, simulated danger, pranks that felt real. They'd spend hours analyzing the reactions of audiences, convinced that shock value was the secret ingredient. They decided to raise the stakes, planning scenarios that would provoke stronger reactions. Timothy, the more impulsive of the two, pushed for bigger risks, while his friend, though hesitant, was swept up in the excitement. Their ambition outpaced their understanding of consequences. They joked about going viral or going home, never pausing to consider what might happen if things went wrong. They chased the algorithm, tailoring their content to what was trending. Every new challenge or prank was a calculated attempt to ride the wave of internet fame, no matter the cost. The plan to stage a fake robbery wasn't impulsive. It was a calculated move. They debated locations, rehearsed their lines, and even practiced their getaway for the camera. They believed this was their ticket to internet stardom. Timothy especially was convinced that one viral hit would change everything: money, fame, respect. The line between performance and reality blurred. They started to see themselves as characters in a story, immune to real-world consequences. They wanted to make people gasp, not just laugh. The thrill of provoking fear became addictive, a rush that ordinary pranks couldn't match. Their strategy was risky, but they thought it was necessary. They told themselves that everyone else was doing it, that danger was just part of the game. They became architects of their own chaos, convinced it would make them stars. In their minds, the world was watching, and that was all that mattered. The plan was reckless from the very beginning, an idea born out of late-night bravado and a hunger for viral fame. Timothy and his friends spent hours plotting every detail, convinced that the more shocking their prank, the bigger the reaction online. They chose a family-friendly trampoline park in Nashville, Tennessee, a place bustling with unsuspecting families, but also a place where many carry firearms for self-defense. As they rehearsed their lines and practiced their menacing stares, they ignored the real risks: panic, trauma, and the very real chance that someone might fight back. The knives were just props to them, but to everyone else, they were deadly weapons, no different from the real thing in the chaos of the moment. Obsessed with capturing the perfect shot, they filmed rehearsals, checked angles, and laughed off any doubts about what could go wrong. They never paused to consider the fear or chaos they'd unleash on innocent bystanders, or the irreversible consequences of a single, panicked reaction. In a state with stand-your-ground laws, their so-called prank was a disaster waiting to happen, one misstep away from tragedy. Their script, written in recklessness and denial, was about to reach its final, devastating act. That evening, the air in the parking lot was thick with anticipation and nerves. Timothy and his friend, faces tense and voices hushed, reviewed their plan one last time under the harsh glow of the streetlights. With the camera rolling, they approached a group of unsuspecting people, knives in hand, adrenaline surging. The pranksters' laughter faded as they drew closer, replaced by a charged silence. The group's reaction was instant and visceral. Faces twisted in fear, voices raised in alarm, some stumbling backward, others frozen in shock. For them, this was no joke. It was a nightmare unfolding in real time. Among the terrified crowd was David Starnes Jr., his heart pounding as he tried to process the chaos. In that split second, he believed he was facing a real robbery. Starnes, legally armed and acting on instinct, drew his weapon. The world seemed to slow as he made a split-second decision to defend himself and those around him. The prankster's script had never accounted for this, a victim who would fight back. Panic flickered across their faces as the reality of the situation dawned. As Timothy and his friend advanced, Starnes fired. The sharp crack of the gunshot shattered the night, echoing off the concrete. A single shot ended the performance. Timothy Wilkes crumpled to the ground, the knife clattering beside him. His friend's scream pierced the stunned silence, the camera tumbling to the asphalt. The camera, now abandoned, captured the chaos. The frantic shouts, the confusion, the moment of fake robbery became a real tragedy. The intended punchline, relief and laughter, never came. Instead, the parking lot was filled with shock, grief, and disbelief. Blood stained the pavement, the acrid smell of gunpowder hung in the air, and an irreversible silence settled over the scene. Police and paramedics arrived, their flashing lights painting the night in blue and red. The quest for viral fame had ended in the worst way imaginable. The line between fiction and reality had vanished, leaving only devastation in its wake. The cost was a young man's life and the pain of those left behind. Chaos erupted after the gunshot. Sirens pierced the night as police and emergency vehicles flooded the parking lot, their lights painting the scene in red and blue. The friend filming rushed to Timothy's side. the reality of the tragedy sinking in as he tried to process what had just happened. The knife, once a harmless prop, was now grim evidence, sealed in a bag and marked for investigation. David Starnes Jr. stayed at the scene, his hands shaking as he called 911, explaining through tears that he believed he was stopping a real robbery. Police arrived to confusion and panic, struggling to piece together the bizarre events. Officers secured the area, cordoning off the lot and interviewing witnesses as investigators combed through the scene for clues. The camera footage, meant for a viral video, became key evidence in a homicide investigation. Detectives pored over the recordings, trying to understand the sequence of events and the intentions behind the prank. News of the incident spread quickly, sparking outrage and debate across social media and the local community. Many questioned the risks of viral stunts, while others mourned the senseless loss of a young life. The prank gone wrong left officers and the community in shock. Vigils were held in Timothy's memory, and heated discussions erupted about responsibility, self-defense, and the dangers of chasing internet fame. Timothy Wilkes was pronounced dead at the scene. His family and friends were left devastated, grappling with grief and disbelief. A young man died not in a robbery, but in the simulation of one. Another man had taken a life, believing he was defending his own, and now faced the weight of that decision. The emotional toll rippled outward, friends haunted by guilt, families shattered, and a community left to reflect on the consequences of a shared ambition gone horribly wrong. Law enforcement continued their investigation, determined to find answers and prevent another tragedy like this from happening again. The legal aftermath was complex, and the verdict sent shockwaves through both the local community and the online world. David Starnes Jr. was not charged. The district attorney ruled he acted in self-defense, citing the immediate threat posed by two men with knives. Under Tennessee law, his response was justified, but the decision sparked heated debate online and in the media. Some argued the law protected Starnes' right to defend himself, while others questioned whether the prankster's intent should have mattered more. Timothy Wilkes' family mourned a senseless loss, and their grief was echoed by many who saw the tragedy as a warning about the dangers of viral stunts. Starnes was left with the burden of having taken a life, even in self-defense, a weight that no legal verdict could erase. The surviving friend carried the guilt of a fatal mistake, haunted by the consequences of a moment meant for entertainment. Online, the case ignited fierce discussion about accountability, responsibility, and the blurred lines between content creation and real-world consequences. The tragedy became a cautionary tale for the digital age, reminding everyone that the internet is not a game, and the real world has no reset button. No amount of online validation is worth a human life. The pursuit of viral fame can have irreversible consequences. When the line between virtual and real is crossed, the consequences can be all too real. The verdict was not just a legal decision, it was a wake-up call for a generation raised online.